Alrighty, good morning folks. This is Jason with Primal Outdoors channel, and as you can see, we are here at our shop. I'm going to be doing some work today. As many of you guys know, I've been trying to get the old Ford set up a little bit better so that I can start using it for some different camping adventures to just kind of break things up from going out in my 4x4 van all the time. It's just kind of fun to do different adventures in the Ford, but I'm not real happy so far with my sleeping situation, like my tent, bed, all of that I've been using on the trips that I've been on so far. So recently, Naturnest reached out to the channel and wanted me to review their new Sirius 2 rooftop tent. Now, as many of you have been long followers of the channel, you know that was the original setup on the old Ford, is that I had a rooftop tent on it. And that's where we got started, and where the channel really started to grow is when I was out camping in the old Ford with a rooftop tent. Before I could get started on the Naturnest Sirius 2, I first needed to come up with a rack system for the back of my pickup. My truck has a DiamondBack tonneau cover, which is very useful, but it does create some challenges when adding a rooftop tent. I won't go into too much detail here since it's outside of the scope of this video. Your vehicle setup is most likely different, so you'll need to assess your own situation and decide the best way to install the Sirius 2. That said, for anyone who does want more detail on the rack system, if I get over 100 comments requesting it, I'll create a separate video dedicated to the topic. All right, guys, so we're moving forward. We got all the rack parts fitted, cleaned up, and the first coat of paint on them. So I'm gonna move on to getting this tent out of the box. So this tent did come via freight, so be aware of that. You'll have to be there when it shows up, and it's heavy, and they just kind of drop it off. So you're gonna probably want, at least one or two friends around to be able to help you move this to wherever you need to move it to, because it is a little bit weighty. But like I said, we're going to start getting it out of this box. I'm going to get this lid off. All right, so as you can see, to get this lid off, you got all these little tabs all the way around it that you need to kind of peel back and get kind of standing straight up, because they got to slip. The lid's got to slip off of these. So screwdriver, pair of pliers seem to work pretty good. After my rack system was built and secured to the truck, I moved on to installing the tent. My long-term plan is to set up a winch system in the shop so I can easily install and remove the tent when needed. But for now, I had a friend help me lift it onto the truck. Since my setup keeps the tent sitting low, this was simple enough with just 2 people, but depending on your application, you might need more than that. Once it was on the truck, I opened up the tent. You'll find all the hardware in the outside hanging pocket. Bolting the tent on is pretty straightforward. Just follow the instructions that come with it. All right, folks, so we're out and we've had our first evening in the Naturnest Sirius 2 tent, rooftop tent, and it was really a nice, just relaxing evening, just hanging out. The tent was easy to deploy, get set up, and then I was able to spend time playing with Ben, playing with some ball, and then just kind of sitting down and relaxing and enjoying what little of the view that we have right now, because we do have some fires in the region and there's a lot of smoke, and then it's also been a little bit overcast, putting a little bit of rain out, which is actually good in that case, but it has obscured our view a little bit. But in the end, still a very relaxing evening. Overall, our night in the tent was good. I slept well. There's nice space in there for Ben and I think there's plenty of space if you're a couple to be in there. If you're a couple with a dog the size of Ben, then it might be a little bit tight. But for me and Ben, it was actually really nice. We did have a little bit of rain this morning. We had a little rain squall that went through. We just jumped in the tent, stayed nice and dry. The rain seemed to shed off the tent really nicely. So I feel confident that this tent would stay nice and dry. Kind of first impressions of the tent, since we've only been out in it one night, a few things that I like is first is the quick deployment. It is very easy to get the tent out. And one of the things that I really like is you're not dealing with a cover that has a zipper. It's really just a couple of buckles. You unbuckle those and then you just push up and the tent opens, and you grab the ladder and you kind of pop out the rest of the tent, and it's all fairly quick and seamless. It's same thing for putting the tent away. You just push up on the ladder, everything kind of shoves back into place automatically, and then you just pull down on the straps, pulls everything down, and then you can just buckle it up and you're ready to go. And I really like that because previous tents I'd used in the past, you had cover with a zipper, and those zippers can always be problematic. You get dust in them they don't want to open, or in extreme cold, they could freeze up and they don't want to open or close at that point. So not having a zipper on this is awesome. I really like that. I do like having the little pockets out in front. This is something I didn't necessarily have on my old tent. It is nice to be able to have a place to put your boots, especially after a little bit of rain. Keeping the mud and everything out of your tent is really nice as well. The mattress was comfortable enough. I was a little bit concerned being the fact that it is only a 2-inch mattress, but it's very firm. And actually I found that I was pretty comfortable for one night. I'll have to see how things go as we do multiple nights in the tent in future trips. Another thing that I really appreciate as a extra detail that Naturnest has done with the tent is they've put a absorption mat underneath the mattress here, which is really good because one of the things that you will deal with any tent or any enclosed space is condensation or moisture inside the tent. So having an absorption mat and not having that just be really wet and nasty underneath is a nice feature that they've added in. On that same note, another thing that I really like about this tent is on the hard shell part, they put a liner in, and that really is going to help with condensation as well. Plus, if you have rain hitting the hard shell, it's going to dampen that noise a little bit. So I think that's another nice detail. Another detail that I do appreciate as well is the zippers. All the zippers are YKK zippers, and anybody in the industry knows YKK is known for building the best zippers on the market. If you're gonna make anything, backpacks, tents, anything, and it's gonna have a zipper, YKK zippers are the industry standard for the best zipper that you can buy. So all YKK zippers on this tent is nice. I do appreciate too the lighting. It's nice to have this little light strip here, and you've got a little LED or a little cord here that can be routed into the tent and then plugged into either the ports inside the tent if you have power to the tent, or you can bring up your own little power supply and plug into it and have lighting out here. So that's nice in the evening when you're getting in and out of the tent to be able to see. There's also an LED strip inside as well. And each of the LED strips do have different color temperatures that you can set for whatever your preference are. Myself, I like the warm light. It just has a more comforting feel and is easier on the eyes. So that was a nice feature and just made it nice inside the tent. Now you do have a telescoping ladder. You know, these are not necessarily my favorite. I wasn't really excited when all the tent manufacturers kind of switched to these. You have to really be careful because if you don't get these locked well in place and you start to get in or out of your tent, if you get your hand in here, which they're telling you right here, don't put your hands in here. But if you do put your hands in here or you get your feet in here and they're not locked, it's really easy to smash a finger or smash a toe inside these. But these are the industry standard now. I see them on every tent, but just be aware, just make sure that they are locked in place. They do have little levers here for releasing them, but you do want to make sure that when you get your tent set up, that they are fully locked and that your ladder is roughly 70 degrees is what they're wanting. You know, so just be somewhere within that. And they want to make sure that the tent itself is actually pushed up just a hair and then locked in place. So that way, when you climb up on here, that this outer part here is actually supported well. So make sure that you have that. But like I said, once it's all locked in place and everything's good, it does work well. So I don't have any problems there. Like I said, this tent does have a power port. It's an Anderson port. So if you do have your own battery system built into your vehicle, you can route power to the tent, and then it does have a distribution block inside to where you can plug, it has some USB ports and then some 12-volt ports if you want. I don't have that set up yet. I might set that up in the future. Right now, I just brought up a little power supply and that worked well for me last night. So like that. So one thing that's different about the Sirius 2 versus the Sirius 1 that I noticed is that the shell pops up a little bit here and you have a little space between the base and the shell, which has allowed them to have a window right here that I really liked last night because it was warm and it was really nice to be able to have fresh air coming in right at my head. Now, once you pop the tent out, there's really not much you have to do in the way of setting this thing up. It pretty much just pops out and it's ready to go. But if you want, in the pockets, you're gonna find 2 of these spring rods. And then there's a nut right here with a hole in it. If you just shove that spring rod in right there, there's a little loop, put the spring rod in, and then that helps put tension on the rain fly, keeping it away from the main body of the tent. So that way, any water or rain that you have coming down will be shed away. This will also be good in the wind to make sure that this piece isn't flapping against the main body. All right, so let's get back into the construction of the tent. So it is made out of a heavy duty nylon ripstop fabric, and I've taken some time to really look over the stitching. And this is something I've got a bit of experience in because many of you who follow my channel know that I do a lot of my own sewing on some of my projects. And it does look like they did a great job on the stitching, and all of the seams are seam tape, so you don't have to worry about any leaks where the stitches are. So it does look like it's a very durable tent. Now, with that said, I have only spent one night in it, and it was a fairly mild night. And other than, like I said, a little bit of rain this morning, we haven't had really any adverse conditions that are really going to put this tent to the test. So as we continue to use it over the coming weeks, just keep following the channel. And if anything does come up, I'll definitely share those things with you guys. But as of right now, I honestly don't see myself having too much problems with this tent. I think it's just going to be a good setup on the old Ford truck. All right, so inside the tent, there's a few nice features. Like I already mentioned, you do have an LED light strip that's on a USB that can be either plugged into the tent's power ports, if you have that set up, or if you just bring up a power bank, you can plug them into the power bank and power them that way. You also have pockets on each side, which are really nice. There's a nice blackout material in here, so if you close up everything, it's going to be nice and dark even during the day. But if you do want more light, you also have a nice little sunroof in here that you can open up and get more light in, or you can be able to look out at night sky and be able to see the stars. So that's a nice feature. Another little detail that I really like is the supporting poles in here are all covered in nylon as well. Those can have a tendency to get condensation on them, so having the poles covered in nylon, that's also going to help with any of that. One last note I want to make on packing the tent away. You can get away with storing your bedding inside the tent. I left a sheet, comforter, wool blanket, and foam pillow in there. It all fit. Though I did have to put a bit of extra pressure to push the lid down, mainly to squish the air out of the pillow. But it did shut and buckle into place. That said, I'll probably switch to something more compressible in the future. All right, folks, so I think this wraps up my overview of this Naturnest Sirius 2 rooftop tent. Like I said, I think this is going to be a good solution for me when I want to go out and camp in my old pickup. If you guys want to know more about this tent, definitely check out their website. You can find a link to that in the description. If you want to see this tent used in more adverse conditions, you're just going to have to subscribe and follow the channel, as I do have some plans to use this tent going into fall and into winter, where we'll get into some different weather and some different terrain. So if you're into that, definitely hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys again outside.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world world seems small, we can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.